Hey everybody, it is Libby with Fearlessness. What is fearlessness? Well, it's that underlying grit that empowers us as entrepreneurs to forge ahead. Even when hope seems distant, it's the courage to walk through those fires of hell, knowing that we're going to come out stronger and better on the other side. Stay tuned and learn how to get fearlessness. I'm your host, Libby DeLucien, and my guest today is the amazing Chris Volpe. So why don't you introduce yourself?
The amazing Chris Volpe. Man, I don't think I've ever been called that before, so I am flattered. Well, I am Chris Volpe. I spent close to a decade working at Service Autopilot. I was employee number 20-something, like really, really early on. And then I saw it grow to 100 plus. And then Service Autopilot was acquired. And then we were over 2,000 customers, 2,000 employees worldwide. And I always saw, I was working with home service businesses so much. I learned so much that I really wanted to apply what I learned over the years from all of the amazing customers that use Service Autopilot. So I actually went and bought a cleaning business. I was looking for all different sorts of home service businesses. I almost bought a mosquito control business. But in the 11th hour, I realized that the valuations didn't line up. They didn't really make sense. And so then, I had this other cleaning business fall into my lap. They agreed to some pretty cool terms with owner financing. So I was able to basically buy the company out of the profits of the business. And so here I am a year later. Now I'm solely focused. I'm solely in the business. I'm no longer at Service Autopilot. And it's been a year of learning so much about running a business.
So you went from employee to entrepreneur. How's it feel?
It's interesting because there's so much to learn. I was talking to someone the other day. I think one of the hardest things that I've really kind of grown through this past year is, since I'm really the only one really focusing on the business, I've got two people in the field who are doing the cleaning right now, and I've got another crew that does window washing. But I'm really the only one that's doing payroll and marketing and sales and social media. Every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, what am I going to work on today? And I found that if I really don't like plan out my week, plan out my day, I'll kind of like piddle over here and then I'll piddle over there. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the week, I'll just look up and I'll feel tired and busy, but I'll say, man, what did I really get accomplished this week? And so that really, that's been one of the hardest things to get through is even with all of this stuff that I need to focus on, really setting the priorities of, okay, I'm only going to focus on these three things and I'm going to focus on it really well until they're done. And then I'm going to move on.
Yeah. I mean, if you think like social media is a never ending pit of like time wasting, it is so hard to manage yourself in the business because there's just chaos all the time. Not chaos all the time, but there's always something to do. It never ends. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to relax when I'm done. It's never done.
Yep.
And I think it is one of the hardest things for business owners to learn is how to manage and organize their time.
Absolutely.
What percentage do I spend working in the business versus working on? I have to work on it because if I'm always in it, it's never going to grow. And it's like that internal struggle with, well, I was busy all day and I'm tired, but what the heck did I do? I mean, I've had those days. We're like, what did I do?
Yep.
And what do you think, like for you, like that struggle, not struggle, but like going from, employee to entrepreneur, we said schedule and organizing. What do you think is the biggest learning lesson that you've faced so far as like, besides the struggle with managing your time, What do you think is the biggest, what was the thing you didn't expect? Like, what is that biggest hurdle? You're
Yeah.
like, oh crap, I didn't realize this.
Yeah. Great question. So I've always been, whenever I was a Surface Autopilot, I was predominantly on the training side. So I was training the software, and then moved on to business development and partnerships and things like that. So one of the biggest things that I learned was just how much time, at least like when you're small, just how much time and effort it takes to really ramp up your sales. I thought I've always heard, running a cleaning business is a fantastic business to run because everyone is looking for a house cleaner. And while that's true,
It feels like everybody is.
What was that?
Sometimes I said, sometimes it feels like, yeah, everyone's looking for one, but then at the same time, no one is because
Yes.
my phone isn't ringing.
Exactly. And there's so many businesses out there. There's so many house cleaning companies out there. How do you really stand apart from the rest of the other businesses? And you're also dealing, there's so much nuance too. Like, I finally, after months, I really finally found like an okay lead source where I'm not breaking the bank to have these leads consistently come in. But even that, I'll have to, I'll buy a handful of leads and then I'll have to, getting in touch with them. It's like people will say, yeah, I want house cleaning. And then like texting, emailing, calling, and they never pick up the phone or they never respond back. And it's like, man, like why, why are you putting out a request that like, it's urgent, I need someone to clean my house, and then boom, they just ghost you. And so it's like kind of like working through all of those struggles of like, how do you actually get in front of somebody? How do you talk to someone? And then whenever you talk to someone, what are they looking for? Do they want the person who's the owner operator? Because usually they're way cheaper because they are never working on their business. They're only working in their business, and they're really they're not focusing on growing and scaling their business. They're just keeping their calendar busy. And so whenever they actually want a company, like a true legit cleaning company, where we do background checks and we, actually have people that we're training and things like that, they'll want the cheaper side and not the more expensive side. And so those are the things that I'm just learning through, is just how much time sales takes. Because at Surface Autopilot, I never had to do sales beyond like trying to sell like a regional training or something like that, where we're getting our customers to travel to Atlanta or Dallas.
Hi, I'm Carmen Hudson. I'm the host of the Recruiting Book Club, and we're starting our second season. I'm so excited to bring to you another set of guests of recruiters who have written books. We are excited to have some very special guests this season. We've got Shally, we've got Craig Fisher, James Ellis, and quite a few other people that we're going to bring on board to tell us about what they wrote, why they wrote it, and maybe we'll veer off into a conversation about recruiting on all types of topics and subjects that happen in our industry. So I hope you can join us. I'm excited.
We had to do that, but even that, we had a team to fall back on. So I think that's been one of the biggest things that I've really kind of like been learning and growing through, is just the focus on, with kind of going back to what we were just talking about. Like, you've got you can focus on everything, like everything you feel like you need to focus on, but really at the end of the day, sales, especially at the beginning, like that is priority number one. Because if you don't have money coming in, if you don't have cash flow, you're not going to last very long.
Nope. Yeah, it's sales. And too, right now it's we're in a post-COVID world now, and COVID money has run out, and people are being a little bit more particular with, you can call cleaning a luxury item or a necessity. ISSA is really pushing for cleaning to be a necessity for the cleaning industry, which is great, but we could call it what we want. People are still, nowadays, they are very particular about spending their money, and they want more value for the same money than they did a year or two ago.
Yep. Absolutely.
So we're seeing close rates drop a little bit. We've kept a 63% close rate here lately at Organize It, but it hasn't been easy. We've been offering great value adds and incentives. A coach told me, he's a great coach, Marcel. I cannot say his last name. he owns a software called Parakeeto, but he teaches on marketing. And one of the great things he taught me, and we all do this, is like, stop diversifying so much. He's like, we'll spend like a little bit of money over here and over here and over this and sign up for that and this. And he's like, and you have no idea what's working.
Yep.
He's like, you have to try a few. Yes, try a couple. It's like, once you find one that works, go all in, go deep. Don't go wide. Go deep. And once you've tapped that out, then add the next thing. And I think that's something that I know I struggled with at first. I have 500 different marketing channels. And we've really taken that seriously this year and organize it. We're going deep and not wide. We are so ingrained in Facebook right now, and it's working so well for us that I actually turned off my Google AdWords.
Wow.
We're testing it, and because it's cheaper. It's cheaper right now. So if it's cheaper, why not put that money over there if I can get more leads?
Wow. What's been the secret sauce? I don't know. I know this is your podcast, but am I allowed to ask questions? Because I want to ask some questions. What's been the secret sauce? What's been one or two things that you learned from, how did you get Facebook to really kind of explode for you?
We left them on Facebook. It's not that big of a secret, but we stopped trying to remove them off of Facebook. We left them on Facebook. And what they're doing is they're filling out a Facebook lead form because it's easy. So, yes, I want them to go to my website, but at the end of the day, it's not what I want. It's what the consumer and how they act. And if all I have to do is click a button and half of my information is filled out, I don't have to enter it. And all I got to do is add like the square footage of my house. I'm like, oh, well, that was easy. So what we've seen is if we can make it so easy for them to fill out that lead intake form. So what we've done is we've left them on Facebook, and we have a software that integrates with Facebook so that we can get those lead captures to us instantly. We don't have to go look at Facebook. They just get emailed to us. It's the same thing if they were to go to my website because I captured their information. Who cares where the form is? We were taught by probably some more of the old schoolers. Yes, we want them to go to our website. Yes, we want them to fill out our lead intake form. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm getting the information.
Right.
So the key for us was leaving them on Facebook, using a Facebook lead form. And because as a consumer, it's easy. I click on it and it already knows my name, my phone number, my email address. I just have to put my square footage of my house. We're not asking for the address because we don't even care yet.
You don't even ask for. Okay, wow, that's good to know.
Because I just want a price. Like if I'm a consumer, I just want a price. Like don't make me fill out all this crap. I just want a price.
Yes.
Yes. So really simplifying it, because does it really matter their address? I mean, you could ask the zip code. We're pulling their square footage and we're quoting them based off what they said. Now, if there's a discrepancy and it's bigger or smaller, okay, we'll adjust. But if it's a lead, that's all it is. It's an indication of interest. It's a lead. I don't need all that information yet. Let's get it, and let's get it fast.
Right. You're getting everything from the Facebook profile anyway, like you said. The name, the email address, the phone number. That's really all you need. And then you can start contacting them from there. So yeah, that's brilliant. I'm gonna look into that. I love that. I love that idea. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So we got them down as cheap as $11 a lead.
Wow.
It has ticked back up for some reason a little bit. So we're working on getting it back down. But it was much cheaper than Google AdWords. So I'm probably saving like $3,000 a month.
Wow.
We closed that. We just paused it. That's all we did was pause it. And we're shifting it, not some of that money over there because we don't want to put all of it because Facebook won't know how to handle it initially. So we're slowly incrementing it. But here's the thing. I did a survey and I asked a bunch of people, if you're looking for a home service provider, what do you do? Like, what are your steps? And every single person said, I go to Facebook and I ask a group. Or I post on Facebook, I'm looking for a recommendation, or I post in a group. And then I found I even do that. Like, we're getting a new office to organize it. So I was like, hey, I'm looking for a shared office space. I didn't Google. Like, I went to Facebook and asked people.
Yep.
So the actions of how people are like their actions now have.
Hey, this is Brent Skinner, host of Small Talk Window here at the Work Defined Podcasting Network. Have you ever wanted a short podcast to listen to during a coffee break of your workday? You've come to the right place. My guests dispense with the small talk as quickly as possible and settle into a meaningful conversation around the world of work.
Shifted, and they're going more towards social media versus let me Google it.
Yep.
So I said, well, if that's my actions and that's what everybody else said, and I'm not saying you should shut down your Google ads altogether. We're testing it. Because I'm going to be strung up by my toes by some people. We're testing it to see how does it work if we shift that money over there? Can we sustain the same amount of leads or more? Right now we're getting more. It may change, but I'm shifting with the way I see the market shifting. And that's what I love about business is, fearlessness is that not having that fear to try this, to walk in blindly, to like say, let's see how this works. And it could epically fail, or we could blow it out of the water, but it's not knowing how that end result's going to be.
Yep. Yeah. That's a good way to sum it up too. I experienced something similar with, I don't know if does Florida have Thumbtack? Is that a nationwide thing now?
Yes.
So, we were on that, and the lead, oh my goodness, like it was just like, I was getting pretty good leads from it, but like it was costing me $70, $80, $90 to talk to somebody. And it's like, this is just, at least, when it's on bigger, like, yeah, that could probably be okay. But like, while I'm still bootstrapping it and small and trying to grow, like that's a significant expense for me. So someone told me about Bark. And I went and checked out Bark, and it's the exact same leads, and I'm paying about $10 to $15 for a lead, and I'm having the exact same conversations. And so, yeah, it was the same thing. Like, it was actually, it's funny. It was my, my sister, who is going out on her own to be a counselor. She told me, I had never heard about it. And she's like, hey, I'm on Bark for counseling. I saw that residential cleaning is on there. Are we still live?
Yeah. I was like, wow, I didn't know Bark offered that for counseling.
Yep. So she told me about it, and I signed up, and I was like, man, this is incredible. So like, just being open to like where you're getting your advice from too. Like, you don't want to take advice from absolutely everybody, because you'll never do anything. But like, you'll never know where that like next spark of inspiration comes from to go try that new thing.
So let's talk about advice. I love this topic now, because you set in on, you spent years around Jonathan Potoshnik. You then helped to take over Academy after the acquisition. So you heard a lot of business owners talk. You heard a lot of people give advice. We coached each other in there. What do you think? It doesn't have to be one single source, but what do you think the best business advice you ever heard anybody give?
Best business advice.
You don't have to say who it was, but what's the advice?
Yeah. Oh, that's hard. Like, I can think of a ton of different things to say.
The top three. Or two.
Okay.
Or two or three. I don't, whatever.
One of them was Jonathan talking about whenever we were having kind of the powwow sessions about Academy and how to kind of step it into like the next iteration, the next phase. Because with him leaving, it was obviously going to change. And Jonathan, he said something actually very similar along the lines of what we've been talking about. But we were talking about recognizing, like, as a business owner, it doesn't matter if you're small, if you're medium, or you're large. If you're the business owner, you're always going to be tempted to be distracted by all of the different things that you need to focus on. And he said, he was like, in Academy, we talk about so many amazing things, whether it be, marketing, KPIs, tracking your numbers, this, that, whatever campaign, the refer someone with a gift card so they give it to somebody else. Like, he's like, whatever it is, just stick with it. It's like, pick your thing and just stick with it. If you stick with it, don't deviate. Like, what we were just talking about, like, you kind of like piddle over here and then you jump over here. Well, then you never go deep. And he was basically saying the exact same thing. Just go deep, whatever it is you want to focus on, whether it's like the client referrals, just go deep in that. Just go super deep, go deeper than anybody else in your industry. And I thought that was so good. And then I'll add one more. So I think one of the most exciting partnerships that we created through Academy was with the Grant Cardone organization, the Grant Cardone Enterprises. And that was so exciting. And I think, if anyone's read the 10X rule book, there's just tons of really good advice in there for any business owner, any size, especially if you're small. But one of the things that I think that I've been really kind of latching onto a lot recently is the concept of obscurity is your biggest enemy. And I think there's so much wisdom behind that one sentence of, you've got an awesome product, you've got a world-class service organization, whatever industry you're in, home service industry you're in. But if people don't know about you, like, know about you and you feel like everyone knows about you, but at the end of the day, we're all so distracted and we've all got, a million people like, barking at each other on social media, on email. So at the end of the day, people don't actually really know you. And so how do you rise above that? And it's true, you've got to take that massive action of stepping outside of one email is not enough. One follow-up email is not enough. You've got to follow up 12 times to the same lead in order to maybe even get the first response back. But once you get that first response back, then you can go from there. And so I just, whenever there are days when I'm just kind of feeling down and I'm like, man, I'm not growing nearly as fast as I need to, I'll just remind myself of that. Man, obscurity is my biggest enemy. And I'll just, I'll really kind of let that be my mantra.
Awesome. Great advice. And they both go back to what we were just talking about. Like, everyone says they want cleaning, but when you're trying to do sales, it feels like nobody knows about you.
Yep.
And then the focus with Jonathan. Love those two topics. So my next question is, now, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently?
Ooh. Knowing what I know now, what would I have done differently? Okay, so what I would have done differently is the biggest thing. I'm really happy. I'm really proud of being able to have orchestrated like buying a business, because I found it. Like, people ask me how I found it. This is crazy. I found it on Craigslist.
That's actually not crazy. That's really common.
It's so funny because I'll tell people that and they're like, "Are you kidding me? You found a business on Craigslist?" I'm like, "Yeah." I thought, like, I wish I had saved the original posting. It was one sentence. It was profitable house cleaning business for sale, and like that was it. And then they listed the price, and so I was like, "This is totally a scam." But you know what? Hey, like, they have a phone number. I'm gonna give them a call. Let's see where it goes. And it went from there. Like one conversation. It was many conversations, right, that led to me finally purchasing it. So I'm really proud of doing that. And now that I've done it once, I feel like I can do it again. But what I know now is, if and when I do that again, I will do the same thing, but I will buy a much bigger business, a more established business. Because I was actually texting with Jonathan the other day, and he was asking me about the business and how it's going. And I told him, it's going really well. I'm learning a lot. We're growing, but I never really like stepped into like the really small business, where you're having to make all the decisions. All of the conversations that I had at Service Autopilot with all the training and things like that, it was predominantly with people who with more of those, truly medium-sized businesses. And so I'm trying to apply these things like before I'm ready for it. Like, I was trying to like upsell my customers, and Jonathan, he quickly pointed out, he's like, you might just not have the customer base to upsell yet. Like you just got to
Yeah.
focus on growing the base first. And so I think that because I kind of know that medium-sized business a little bit better, I think that, it would be better to go and spend more money, whether you have to get a loan or something, but go buy a bigger, more established business, because then you can go in and apply a new software, apply, better customer service strategies, and then grow it that way, scale it that way. So I think that's the biggest thing that I would do differently.
Yeah. I would assume too, going from what you were at SA at Service Autopilot to now, it's probably a little lonely.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yep.
Because you're used to a team and interaction of a team, and now it's just you, like in the office.
Yep.
And so, well, if this makes you feel any better, I think that's a normal phase in any size, in certain size of businesses, because I have and sometimes do feel that way because, I have teams now that organize it and WootRecruit, and I'm sitting as COO and I'm kind of out here by myself. And
that's so interesting.
It can get lonely because you're kind of like, wow, I'm not part of that team anymore. So I'm just sitting as COO or CEO. And I have a direct consultant who helps coach me in the software because, I'm pretty new to software. And so he's leaving. April 1st was his last day because I felt like, this is going to sound funny, Libby's grown up enough. She can try this by herself. I was using him as a blankie. He made me feel safe. So his name's Jim. I have a meeting actually with him today, like to say bye. But I felt like Jim was my blankie. He was the person that I could talk to because now he's leaving and you kind of feel alone. I come back down, and help ops or help product in some of the day-to-day or decision-making. But then when I have to go back and sit as CEO to make decisions, it's lonely. I'm by myself. So don't feel bad because I think those are stages. We call them valleys of despair. Like you're kind of in certain valleys, and it's all reflective of like inner, like revenue, because it's based off where you are in size. Because as you grow, then I can add more people, maybe to the leadership team or another consultant. And so it's just interesting that I remember those days, and sometimes you have that feeling again, depending on where you're at in your growth stage.
That's so interesting that it's cyclical like that. I would think that like once you got out of this, like the stage that I'm at right now, that it wouldn't be like that at all. That's so interesting that it kind of happens again.
Yeah. So, I have one more question for you to wrap up, and it's kind of related to some of the others, but not. And, knowing what you know now, what would you tell the younger version of Chris, if he wanted to start his own company? Like, what are you going to tell your kids?
I would tell, it would almost be like you'd have to have like a little PowerPoint, right? Of like, here are like the top 10 things to know. I think a few things that I would tell my kids is, I think being in the service business, I really understand. I'm getting a glimpse into how recession proof, how AI proof, how any other proof you want to throw out there. While some people might not see it as the most glamorous, sexy job, but the service business is where it's at, and it's not going away. And if anything, it's almost like the pendulum is swinging, right? Like, everyone wanted tech and software and, yada, 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 you name it. But like, there's like this huge chasm for any service business, anything that really takes a human operator. I mean, like maybe 100 years down the road, there'll be like amazing robots that'll clean your house, but it's down. Like it's going to be a long time from now.
Yeah.
So I think stick in the service business. Kind of like what we said, focus, like don't let yourself get really pick where you want to go and just stick with it. Don't let yourself spread too thin. And then another thing too is I would say, and I think this is one of the things that I'm learning now. And I saw that service autopilot, and now I'm kind of like experiencing it now. I forget what the saying is, but if you want to build your business, like if you want to grow slow, do it alone. If you want to go far, do it with a team. Like I'm starting to recognize that if you have those strategic things, those strategic partnerships in place, if you can do it with someone else, if you can do it with a partnership, if you can kind of do it low pressure, like if you can have like a great full-time job and then on the side go and build this business, go do that, because there's so much less pressure and you can do it as a team. And yeah, you might see less profits, but like, what would you rather have? 50% of $100 million company or 100% of $1 million company? Like, it's just far and away, like you're going to take the $100 million any day. So do it with a team. Don't do it alone. I think that those will probably be the biggest pieces, at least right now, because maybe that's what I'm experiencing. Yeah. But those are the pieces of advice that I would stick with right now.
So I love the first one where it says, the service industry, especially home service, is not going away. Like it's not going away. Even during a recession, people will still have their house clean. People will still need help. People will still be moving. We'll still need to do move in and out cleans. We'll still need to do deep cleans. This is a funny topic because for years I was in Service Autopilot Academy, and then I got to Elite. And those guys in there, if they're watching this, I mean, the amount of effort and time they talked about robot mowers, and it was such a funny topic. It would my eyes would glaze over, and I kind of stopped paying attention when they would start talking about robot mowers, and how it's gonna impact the industry, and at the end of the day, I finally said, we all have Roombas in our houses, and they still hire us to come clean them. So, it's not that big of a worry. If anything, it helps us, because technology isn't there yet. So it is like in commercial cleaning, because I'm part of ISSA, they have these robots that are they can clean a bathroom. If you watch the robot, it cannot get the detail. It just cannot do detail work. So I love the fact that you brought up how it's stable. It's stable because there will always be a need. Now, the instability comes from us not managing it well, or employee issues, or not understanding certain aspects of the business. But once you understand those, it becomes a very stable source of income for your family, or to pass on to your family. So I love that topic. So before we wrap up, do you have anything coming up for you in the future? Anything in the works you want the listeners to know about? And we'll make sure to put those in the show notes as well.
Look us up on Facebook, on Google, Kick the Dust Up Cleaning Company. If you're in the Fort Worth area, that's the biggest thing. We've got, the team that I have, I get so many compliments. I've got quality cleaners, and there's just such a big difference whenever you have someone that is actually good. I remember, Libby, us talking about it back in the day. Yes. Cleaning is a skilled labor. Like, you have to learn how to do it. There's tons of people who say that they can do it, but there's not a lot of people who are actually really good at it. So, if you're in the Fort Worth area or the surrounding areas, give us a call.
Awesome. Well, that's it, guys. I want to thank Chris for being a guest on the Fearlessness Podcast. And for our listeners, if you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, you can find more episodes on thefearlessness.com. And I want to thank our sponsor, WootRecruit, for being one of our corporate sponsors for the podcast. And guys, that's a wrap into the heart of fearlessness. Remember, every step we take is a move towards our own strengths and courage. Keep walking through those fires, because on the other side lies a version of yourself that's unstoppable. I'm Libby, reminding you to embrace your fearlessness. Until next time, stay brave, stay bold, and keep pushing forward.